Hey girls, good morning. We're going to try this one more time here. Seems to be the internet is weaker than the cell phone power, so that's okay. It's all about learning to tweak your technology and make it work the way you need it. So that's fine. We'll just start over. We're a little bit late, but we're still going to start. So good morning. Happy Thursday. Glad you're out this morning with me. Make sure you go by robinhardy.net and grab your free gift there. It's a Today I Will Thrive, kind of a daily tracker, kind of like a bullet journal if you've been doing those. And it takes the three key elements that we talk about in Healthy Mindset Cafe and on robinhardy.net. A healthy mindset, healthy body, healthy spirit will give you a woman of God that thrives. So go grab that. What I tell everyone, because it's full color, it's got some really cool little images, print it out, stick it in a plastic sleeve, and then use a dry erase marker. And that way you don't have to print them out each day because there is a place to date on it. But the other thing you want to do, if you want to print them out, stick them in a notebook. And what I like about that is you can track your progress. You can see the areas that are needing improvement and those areas that you're really thriving in, and then focus on those areas you need to improve on. So the other way you could do it is if you took a picture of it, put it in the plastic, or printed it out, put it in plastic, and then you wrote it up. At the end of the day, take a picture with your phone, and then that way you can kind of have your record. I really want you to use the tool to be able to see your progress and see the areas that you need to focus on. Now, once you're using that tool, if you find there's an area that you're really struggling in, shoot me over a message, and then I can bring those topics to the table in our morning minutes. So with that, let's jump into today's topic, is outside opinions. And of course, I have a story for you. I love stories. I think it helps you see what is actually happening and kind of drives the picture home for you. So we're going to start off with that. But we're going to talk about outside opinions today. And we're taking a verse out of 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. So, Greg and I pretty much do all of our grocery shopping together because he likes to go to the fish market side and he likes to go to the meat market. And then he just lets me roam the produce on my own, except for things I can't reach. Because being, 4'11", it's kind of hard to reach things, and he's 6'2", so he can just stretch his arm out, and every now and then he'll squat down and try to stretch, saying I can't reach it. So he plays with me, and of course everybody in the store thinks we're crazy, but that's okay. Crazy's healthy sometimes. But yeah, so we go to our Publix. We always go to, and we head over to the one over on Cherry Road just because we like the way it's set up better, and it was the first one we went to. We've tried the others, and they kind of they aren't the same. So we go in there, and we're doing our shopping, and I'm moving around. I got the cart. I'm not using the riding cart no more. I'm actually walking the store, which is exciting. I have to hang on to the cart for balance, but I'm walking it. And, we get out there, and of course, they always want to unload your cart when you check out, and they want to help you take it to the car, which is always an interesting battle at the register with Greg. Because he's like, I got this, and they fire him. Our joke at the store, especially with the gals that we know on a regular basis there, what's been really cool is that, they know he's been fired, and they tell him that you're fired. So it's kind of cool. But anyhow, we're walking out, and, we've got the gal. I'm pushing the cart. The gal's coming with us. It's a stormy day. Last time we were in there, it was just pouring buckets of rain. And that's just the way we do things. We tend to go out and play in the world when it's raining, splash in the puddles, have fun. So I'm standing there with the gal, and she's a younger gal, probably in her 20s. And Greg's bringing the car up because of the rain. We didn't want to leave the car open out in the parking lot. And the gal says to me, "Oh, so who's that came with you, your son?" And I'll tell you this much, that poor little girl, she didn't mean no harm. She's a very sweet young lady, and especially down here in the South, people just don't tend to be as mean as other places. Very genuine. And I kind of was set back by her, and I looked at her, and I said, no, that's my husband. And all of a sudden, dead silence. You could have heard crickets in that parking lot, because she realized that what she said was way off mark. Well, that's fine, because I didn't get upset with her. What I got upset with is I got in the car, and while Greg's helping her load the car, because that's just the way it works, I'm not allowed to load the car, but that's because of who he is. He preferred to do it and take care of me. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I started to sink into just a pretty negative mindset, all based on an outside opinion of somebody else. And I was sitting there, I was ready to cry. I thought, there it is again. I'm looking old. I'm old. And that's all that was going through my head. Not the fact that, yeah, girl, you're 52 years old, and you're out there living your life. You've got a great life, great marriage, everything else. But the one thing that stuck in my head is, gosh, do I look that old that I can be his mama? And the funniest thing is all I could say was, oh, I guess it was time to color my hair again. Because I have gray hair. It's pure gray underneath. And the only reason I don't leave it gray is because my skin's so fair that when I do, I look like I'm walking dead. So I prefer not to look that way in public. And, you know, Greg's like, well, what's wrong? And I said, well, honey, I said, she thinks I'm your mom. And he's like, oh, don't worry about her. But in my head, it was processing what she said. Now, how many times, girls, has somebody said something to you in public, whether it's true or not, or even a family member may have said something to you, and all of a sudden it just sucks the life out of you. All of a sudden you feel like the world is caving in on you. All of a sudden you lose your momentum for the day, and you find yourself more in a pity party. You know, we all do it. It happens. And it can be as easy as somebody saying, is that your son? When it's your husband. And no, don't look that big of a difference in age. I think it was just a tough day. I was really exhausted. And, you know, my gray roots were about that high. You know, so it was time to color my hair. And that's all it was. And I needed rest. You see, because when we don't get our rest, girls, we tend to look older than we are. So if we get our rest, we tend to do better. So what does all this mean? You know, well, maybe she's right, because she was just telling you we're old. And, you know, I had to think about that for a minute. And I'm like, no. Because, see, what I forget sometimes, and I'm sure you girls do too, because I've seen some of your posts, is that God doesn't judge this outside shell. Okay? What God is looking at is that heart inside of us. See, man, on the other hand, looks at that outside. That's why there's such an issue with women's self-esteem and young girls getting caught up in these excessive dieting because they feel like they've got to look like somebody else in order to be successful and beautiful. But listen to what the Word says. The Bible says to us in 1 Samuel 16:7, but the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So I'm going to ask you this, girls. What's more important to you? What the Lord sees in you, or what some kid on the street sees? Should be more important to what the Lord sees. Now, don't get me wrong. It is important what these other people see. And when I talk about what other people see, is our actions. You know, girls, when a young lady looks at us that's maybe sitting in church and she's a teenager or she's in her, you know, young adult and she's struggling with her self-image or maybe stuff happening in her life, what does she see when she sees you? Is she seeing a kind, compassionate, caring woman that loves the Lord and is open to just pray for her or encourage her? Are your words encouraging to them so that they aren't seeing the fact that maybe it's a bad hair day? Or maybe, if you guys could see the bottom of my shirt today, Dante blessed me. Yes, he came over and got some water and came over and said, "Hi, Mama." And yeah, I'm just like, I'm so glad that that part of me is not on camera, because there's just this big, massive wet spot from his little nose, big nose, that was in the water dish. So my challenge to you, how can you overcome being so caught up in what the world says to you? Because in the end, the world don't matter. One day, girls, all of this here is going to come to an end. And we're going to stand before God, and we're going to be in His presence. So whose opinion matters more? God's or the world? And we have to make that choice, and we have to remember it. So always go back to 1 Samuel 16:7. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. You see, girls, one thing I've learned, just as I've gotten older, I've been a Christian now for, 35 years. And, the deal is, the things I know in life, number one, you please God. Number two, I keep my husband happy. And as long as he's happy, we're good. And number three, I take care of those people around me as much as I possibly can. I build up and encourage other women. I try not to beat them up. Now, if somebody's having issues and they're having some sin issues and they come to me and ask me, I'm going to be honest. But see, that's because I failed Candy Coating 101 in college. If you look like a skunk, you smell like a skunk, I'm going to tell you you stink, but I'll do it in love. But know this, anything I bring forward is going to come from the Word, not my personal opinion. So girls, trust me on this. Turn to God when people are coming at you and they're saying things. This whole bullying thing out there needs to stop. Because all that bullying is people that don't know God. Or God's not the main thing in their life. So my challenge to you is, number one, do not worry about outside opinions. Number two, when those opinions come at you and they're mean and they're nasty and they're hurtful, turn to God. And number three, remember, girls, God sees your heart. Remember this thing here. God sees your heart, your inside, what you're about. Not the fact that your gray roots are showing. Not the fact that you're missing a front tooth. Not the fact that you're too short, you're too tall, you're too fat, you're too skinny. Who cares? All God cares about is your heart. What is your heart condition? And know this, we talked about this before, you are fearfully and wonderfully made in Christ's image. Don't ever forget that. God doesn't make mistakes. So when these outside opinions come in and these people start attacking you with their words, just roll up, pretend you're in an old Chevy, right? And I remember this, my old Chevy Corvair. That's the first car I ever owned. 1965 Chevy Corvair. I bought it for $500, I think. I knew how to fix it to get past smog emission by putting a screw with electrical tape into the exhaust, this little hole in it so it could pass smog check. And this was in California. And what was awesome about all that is that I still remember those windows. It was a crank handle. And for those of you that are younger, you may not get this, that we used to have to crank our windows up. So when all that negative crap's coming at you from the other people and it looks like this coming at you, I bet that was a trip, huh? That was kind of cool. Anyhow, when that's coming at you, just roll up that window and let God come up and be that barrier for you. Okay? You girls got this. Sometimes we just need that little gentle reminder to know who's in control. But you got this. So again, make sure you go out. If there's anything you're struggling in, if there's any topics that come up, message me, let me know. I'll make sure we try to build that into Morning Minutes, because I want these times that you girls get to come listen and just spend a few minutes with me, powerful enough that it can help empower your life and change it. because that's what RobinHardy.net is all about. That's what Healthy Mindset is all about. The Healthy Mindset Cafe, all about creating a healthy mindset plus a healthy body plus a healthy spirit equals a woman of God that will thrive. It's that balance of all three in your life, and you will thrive. All right, so until tomorrow, yes, Friday, y'all have a blessed day, and keep in mind, 1 Samuel 16:7, whose opinion really matters. All right, bye-bye. Love y'all.